Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 4 of my best tips for tomorrow's horse racing action. I think it's quite a tough day tomorrow and that's why I've only gone for 4, but I'm going to have a take on the King George and it's going to include one of my tips, so watch out for that. And it isn't an able, so yeah, a little bit of a bombshell there that I am going to be taking on an able in the King George. I'll outlay my case a little bit later on in this video, so stay tuned for that. But just a couple of other announcements to make before I get into those tips for tomorrow. First of all, I'm not going to be making a video like I did last week for Sunday's racing. I'm not going to be available tomorrow evening and on Sunday morning to make that video, so apologies for that. But we will be doing in-depth previews for next week. We'll be covering every day of the Galway Festival and Glorious Goodwood, something I do every year. I love these two festivals. It's great, I think, that they have them at the same week as well. I just love getting stuck into them, and we'll be covering every single race for both meetings. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and I believe the first one of those videos will actually be out on Sunday evening, because I think the Galway Festival starts on Monday, so stay tuned for that, and make sure you subscribe as well so you get a notification every time I upload a video. Also as well, before we get stuck into those tips for tomorrow, just quickly recap on how our selections ran today. At the moment, our day is pretty much going to revolve on how Union does. He pretty much will make us break even for the day. He's our nap. He runs in the 8:25 at Ripon. But I think he's got a great chance in that race for David Egan and Roger Varian. Has been holding his place pretty much as the market leader all day. He's got solid claims, got good form, and I think he's definitely the one they've all got to beat. But yeah, away from the nap, it's been a bit of a near miss day today. We all started off at Beverley with Balancing Act for Jell O'Keefe and Megan Nichols. We got the each way money. We put her up at 13-2 each way last night, so we came out with a little bit of profit there. Our next best was Le Chiffre. He finished in second place at Beverley. Ran a fair race, to be honest with you. No complaints really. Really did pay though to be prominent today, and if you were trying to make up ground, it was quite difficult. So that maybe was slightly against him, but I think he's still one that could take another couple of strides forward and improve later on this season. Not one to give up on with Le Chiffre. And then our Longshot just got denied by a nose in the photo finish for third place. Ran a really good race. That was Graceful Lady. Just missed out there. That would have really set us up nicely for today if she'd made the place money anyway. So yeah, a bit of a day of near misses, but fingers crossed Union can do it in the last race at Ripon as our nap. But we'll get into the tips for tomorrow. Now, I normally do 6 on a Saturday. I always used to call it the Saturday Super 6 when I was with the punters page, and something I'd always try and do as well here on my YouTube channel since I've moved away from there back on here. But just for tomorrow, I thought there was a lot of competitive racing and it was quite hard to really pin down a selection. But I've got some of my strongest fancies here, and I'd be disappointed if all of these didn't at least give us a run for our money. So we're going to be starting off with my extra tip tomorrow, and this is actually going to be my shortest tip for tomorrow. And we go to the 2:15 at Newmarket, a fillies handicap, and I think Indie Angel is a class above here for Nicky Mackay and John Gosden in the colours of the Cheveley Park stud. Now, this horse was a really comfortable winner on the July course when winning actually at the July Festival last time out, and for that victory was raised £8 by the handicapper, won by 2 and a bit lengths, but won with any amount in hand really. And they applied first time cheek pieces just to keep her mind on the job, but they really did bring out an improvement on her. Go back for her form, she's got strong form lines when she finished second at Doncaster. That was against some of the boys, and there's been some good efforts come out from that form, so that's looking a nice bit of form. And in third place effort at Chelmsford, we highlighted it on a horse that ran for us yesterday, Dutch Painting. That form line, again, that's tied up really nicely. And I think there's a lot to like about Indie Angel's chance tomorrow. At 9-4, I think she's the one they've all got to beat. And I wouldn't be at all surprised maybe she went off 6-4 favourite come post time. I could see her shortening up slightly. So for me, in the 2:15 at Newmarket, Indie Angel is the one they've all got to beat. We then go with my next best for the 2:25 at Ascot, and we're going to be going with Cliffs of Capri here for Dougie Costello and Jamie Osborne in the colours of the Melbourne 10. Now, he won this race last year. I remember putting him his horse up. That was Raisin Sand when Nicola Curry was aboard that day. And it's one of those trends sometimes that maybe goes under the radar. Jamie Osborne does normally really well in these handicap races, normally over 7 furlongs a mile on the straight course. He's had some good success over the years, and Cliffs of Capri's been one of those horses, you know, he's got a solid course record. He's made the frame here many times. He's won twice at the course, you know, and he's been running all right. Now, last time we saw him, he finished in 4th place at Royal Ascot when he ran in the Buckingham Palace Handicap. And the form of that race has turned out not too badly, because the winner of that race, Mutakaya, I think that's how you pronounce it, for Richard Hannon, he went on to win the Bunbury Cup in good style. And there's been some other form lines come out from that race suggesting that it wasn't a bad bit of form. Now, he's currently 11-1 with bookmakers at the moment. You can get 6 places. That was the best price with Paddy Power at the time of recording, just making this video after 6:30. And I just think Cliffs of Capri tomorrow, he's a really solid candidate to go really close. He's got a good draw as well. He's going to be in stall 18. There's plenty of pace around him. Jack's Point, Card Sharp, you know, horses like to get on with it. And I always say this, I normally think 70 to 80% of the time you always want to be drawn towards the stand side. Anyway, at least more in the summer. I think maybe in the autumn, maybe being over the far side isn't such a negative, but I'd always want to be drawn towards this side. This horse has got a great course record. I still think he's got a little bit of scope to come off his mark, you know. And I just think there's a lot in his favour tomorrow. And at 11-1, I think that's a big price, and I could definitely see him going very close. And I would be disappointed, to be fair, even though it is a competitive race, if he couldn't make the first 6. So Cliffs of Capri is going to be my next best tomorrow, but I think he's got solid credentials and he's really hard for me to kick out of the frame. We then go with the King George tip, and this is going to be my long shot tomorrow, as I'm going to be taking on Enable, and I'm going to be going with Sovereign. Currently 14-1, win only bet. It's my long shot tomorrow. Trained by Aidan O'Brien, obviously, and Will Björk is the one they put for the ride. Now, some of you are probably going, you're absolutely mad to be going for Sovereign here. Why aren't you going for Japan? Why aren't you going for Anthony Van Dyck? Now, or why are you not even going for Enable even? Well, for me, I've kind of, ever since Enable finished second in the Arc last year behind Voldgeist, I took her on that day as well, but I just kind of got the vibe that was it with her, and she probably wasn't going to be the same filly if they kept her in training next year. So she's had a run now. We've seen her in the Eclipse. I think it was okay, the run. I mean, some people say it was fantastic. John Gosden knows what he's doing, and obviously he does. He's a fantastic multiple champion trainer. But yeah, I don't know. There was just something about that performance where I just thought that turn of gear wasn't quite there, even though I know Frankie did look after it towards the end. But I just wonder if a couple of those races from last season, especially the King George, just left a little bit of a mark on her, you know, because I think that race broke Crystal Ocean. It was a great horse race, and obviously the form was boosted with Voldgeist, who finished in 3rd that day, reversing it with an Able to win the Arc. But I just think we know how to beat Enable now, if that makes sense. We know she's beatable. Obviously, she's 6 years old, you know, and they often say once horses get older, especially mares, it can be really hard for them to retain their ability. And I was kind of thinking that performance at Sandown was probably about 6 out of 10 in my opinion. You know, some people will say it was fantastic. I've seen other people say that they think she's gone at the game, you know. I was kind of in between the two camps. But in a race like this, where Ballydoyle are obviously going to hold the key with the tactics to try and get a beat, I think they might be able to get a beat, you know, because I just think that maybe she just lost that turn of foot that she's had. She could easily prove me wrong tomorrow, but the price she is, I think she's too short, and we're just getting a little bit carried away because she's undoubtedly a superstar, won many Group 1s, been the best horse in training on the turf for the last couple of years. But I just think we're just getting a little bit sucked up with the fact that she's a legend, and obviously she's got a great race, a record at Ascot, won there on all her starts, you know, going for her third win in the race, and obviously she has beaten a couple of these horses before. We're just getting, I think, swept away in the moment with really where she might be. So I think they can beat her tomorrow. And I think you can't rule any of the other Ballydoyle contenders out. Now, Japan, obviously, he has his loyal fans. He's not really a horse that I've ever really warmed to. I'm not saying that he couldn't reverse the form from the Eclipse last time out. He could. I do buy the argument that maybe it's taken him a couple of runs to get going, and now he's ready to be at his best. I do buy that argument because you can see it from last season. But I don't know. He's never really I've never really seen it from him that I thought he's top drawer. Even though obviously he is a Group 1 winner, but he's not really impressed me with the reputation he has with others. That's what I'm trying to get at. He's not really like made me go, wow, what a horse. Anthony Van Dyck, you can give a chance to, I think, in this race. The key for him would be if there's any rain around tomorrow, that would be a major negative for tomorrow. But if he does run that race like he did in the Coronation Cup, he's a dangerous player in this. Don't underestimate him. Last time, even though he was maybe slightly disappointing, I don't think Ryan Moore gave him the best ride. He did find a lot of traffic problems, and he, even though he was being niggled along, he was finding, and Defoe was kind of just blocking his passage. I think maybe if he got a clearer run, he would have been fighting out the win at least. Anyway, he might not have won, but he would have been there or thereabouts fighting it out in the finish for the win. So I don't think you can totally dismiss Anthony Van Dyck. But the one I'm taking him on with here is Sovereign. Now, Sovereign. Now, a lot of people will go, it was a complete fluke when he won the Irish Derby, but I don't think it was a complete fluke, you know. I just think that the way they rode him showed that that's the way he likes to be ridden. I thought there was no fluke about it. Yes, he was a massive price, but to be fair, like, he backed it up, I thought, last time out on his seasonal reappearance, showing that he's not a one-trick or one-season wonder. I thought his reappearance race was really encouraging. He was carrying quite a bit of condition that day. He's obviously would have needed the run. That was the first time he'd been seen since the Irish Derby. But he wasn't given a hard time at all. He came off from the pace. I think they've just given him a quiet ride. I wouldn't be at all surprised if this has actually been the target. I think it probably has. And the winner of that race, Twilight Payment, went on to win again last week in a Group 2 at the Curragh. Okay, what he beat wasn't great, but still, it's good to see that form line has been boosted. And Sovereign, we know he should be spot on for tomorrow. There should be no excuses. I don't think he'll need to run. And I'm really intrigued as well by William Buick being booked for the ride. Now, obviously, Will Buick has been riding Gaiff, you know, and if he'll know what kind of fractionals you need to be setting over this trip and how to be enabled as well. So that's definitely a positive jockey booking. And also as well, he was put up on, again, I can't pronounce this right, Amran Bianth. It's the Soldier Song, the Irish National Anthem. We put him up as our Derby pick at each way at 100 to 1. And he tracked the pace as well, you know, and he gave him a good ride to make sure that he gave a good run for his money. And he finished in third place, you know. So Will Buick, he's been doing all right recently. He's riding very well. And I just think if they say you can go from the front and just see what you got left, I think he could have enough, you know. And that race as well, last time out, I should have said, was over 1.6 miles. So we know that he can go further, you know, too. So I think the 14-1, that's a bit of a big price. And if I was a bookmaker, I would have maybe made him around about 8-1. I think he's dangerous to underestimate. And I do feel that there could be a shock in this race, but I don't think you can discount any of the Ballydoyle horses. I think they are all capable if they run a career best, which they would need to do, arguably. I think they are all capable in some way of beating Enable. Now, Enable, obviously, she only has to improve slightly, and she's definitely going to be there or thereabouts, you know. She's the one they've all got to beat. There's no denying that. But for me, Sovereign, I just think if he gets loose in the lead, we've seen it with Serpentine, you know, I just think that he just could be underestimated, and I just think at a price he's worth chancing. He's a winner bust bet, obviously, but at 14-1, obviously just recommending a win bet only, but I think you could find out worse 14-1 shots in a small runner race where we know it's going to be really tactical, and he does have a chance, you know. So for me at 14-1, I think he's going to definitely go very close, and I think he would be the pick, in my opinion anyway, of the one to take on Enable. So yeah, that's going to be my long shot, and that's my preview of the King George. We then go with my nap, which runs in the 6:30. Yeah, we have to wait a few hours afterwards after all that excitement. For the 6:30 at Doncaster with a horse called Reviette for Kevin Stott and Kevin Ryan, 9-1 with bookmakers at the moment. I'm going to recommend this one as an each-way selection. Now, this horse I thought ran a really encouraging reappearance when finishing 5th at Pontefract. Didn't get the clearest of runs that day, but stayed on really strongly. And the form has been boosted to somewhat of extent because the horse that we put up today, Balancing Act, that beat this horse when running in 4th place at Pontefract. Made the frame today and been holding her form okay. And the 6th place horse in that race was a horse of Heather Mains called Colonel Whitehead, and he went and won a competitive race at Sandown earlier in the week. So there's some strong form from that race already working out at Pontefract. And going on a quicker surface and going up in trip tomorrow, I think will really suit this horse. By Kalachi, and even though sometimes you might associate his progeny with handling a bit of cut, this filly's shown so far that she's better on a quicker surface. And I just think if she can just sit off the leaders tomorrow, I think she's got a really good chance. I think of her mark of 69, she's definitely got scope to improve off that mark. And I think she'll come forward. Kevin Ryan stable, got great guns at the moment, operating at a 20% strike rate. Also as well, these are the colours of the horse called Bielsa. And he's got a fantastic record at Doncaster. These colours normally like to do very well at the track. And I just think at 9-1, that's a big price with a horse that I think she's better than her mark. So for me, 9-1, I'm really confident about her chances, and I would be disappointed if she didn't make the first 3. So Reviette, she's going to be mine out tomorrow, and fingers crossed she can get the job done. So I'll just recap those tips quickly. In the 2:15 at Newmarket, we go with Indie Angel. That's my extra tip, 9-4 win only bet. 2:25 at Ascot, Cliffs of Capri, 11-1, 6 places being offered by Paddy Power at that 11-1 price. My long shot, yes, I'm taking on Enable in the 3:35, the King George. Going Sovereign, win only bet, 14-1, and then in the 6:30 at Doncaster, I'm going with Reviette, and I'm going with that as my nap with 9-1 each way selection. So they're the 4 tips for tomorrow. So if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button for more videos. Also as well, if you want to follow me on social media, you can do, where my handle is at LuckyLoader15. And if you want to find out a little bit more about myself, why not check out my website, which is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. And also as well, let me know what you're going to be backing in the King George. Does Enable win? Let me know your other strongest fancies tomorrow as well. I like reading them in the comments below, so make sure you do that. But that's all I got to say. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.